So most people are probably familiar with this franchise, at least to some extent. And this is some sort of sequel, prequel, reboot, I'm honestly not sure because truth be told, I haven't seen the original movie in at least 20 years and remember basically none of the details. But for the uninitiated, I guess I'm gonna recap the general gist of the movies anyway. And it goes something like this. There's a fighting tournament on a mysterious island, where the representatives of Earthrealm and Outworld fight each other every now and again. And I guess if you lose a certain amount of times, you lose the match and bad things happen. Something along those lines. I honestly don't know the specifics, nor do I really care. Because I seriously doubt the original writers put all that much thought and effort into it to begin with. But the general idea here is that both teams pick their best fighters with what amounts to superpowers. And they duke it out in the ring instead of going for all-out war. I think that's the idea here. Anyway, the original movie is a cult classic for sure. And somehow it has managed to stay somewhat relevant in pop culture for all these years too. Despite the fact that I don't think there's been a live-action Mortal Kombat movie anyone cared about in over 2 decades. But hey, now we do finally have a big budget major studio reboot, even with a couple of really good actors in it. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, I don't think anything really did go wrong. This is pretty much exactly what I would expect from a Mortal Kombat movie. It's campy, it's ridiculous, the story makes no sense and is about as absurd as anything I've seen recently. The lore is straight up hilarious and some of the fight sequences are pretty cool. I especially loved the opening. That to me was easily the best part of the movie. But anyway, the effects here range from pretty impressive to why are we back in the 90s? The attempts at comedy are mostly ham-fisted apart from a few successful jokes here and there. The characters have the depth of a muddy puddle your 2-year-old has spent the better part of the afternoon jumping around in. And the constant barrage of pop culture references honestly felt a little bit forced. Now that probably doesn't sound very good, does it? And it isn't, but I don't think that's the point either. I think they set out to make a movie in the spirit of the original, and I think they mostly succeeded. I really do think this captured the essence of it, and if that was the goal, then mission accomplished. However, I do have to admit that this was not a movie for me, and about halfway through I was pretty much ready to call it a day. It just kinda bored me, and the few moments I actually enjoyed were few and far between. And as a result, I can't really give this much more than a solid 4. Boop. Now keep in mind that's just my opinion, that's my personal experience with the movie. I didn't particularly enjoy it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have an intended audience. And if you are part of that intended audience, I think you might like this one. But if you're not, then you probably know it, you can pretty safely skip it. Or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel because that would be fantastic.